What's up, everybody? Today, my goal is to dispel the 3 most common myths about scalp micropigmentation. So make sure you stay tuned. You just came across scalp micropigmentation, you're a little unsure, you're a little skeptical, you don't know what's true or false. Well, in this video, let me cover the 3 most common myths. That way you have a better grip of what scalp micropigmentation really is. Myth number 1, scalp micropigmentation is just gonna look like a tattoo and over time change color like traditional tattoos do. Wrong. Scalp micropigmentation is a form of cosmetic tattooing, but that varies greatly from traditional tattoos. For one, our depth level is much shallower than that of a typical tattoo. With scalp micropigmentation, we're only going about 1.5 millimeters into the dermis of the skin. Tattoos tend to go a lot deeper. And so for this reason, we can avoid things like migration and discoloring over time. Number 2 is our technique. We are simply doing a pointillism technique where we are making and replicating tiny little hair follicles into the skin, tiny little dots. With tattoos, they typically go into shading and lining. A lot more concentration of ink is being placed into the skin. And that's why over time you start to see that kind of blotching or migration. So we see a lot in the comments on this page, even on our Instagram, hey, just go to a tattoo artist. Listen, tattoo artists are some of the most artistic, creative people out there. Hell, they can do sleeves and back pieces that I would never be able to do. But when it comes to scalp micropigmentation, you want to make sure that you're going to someone that has trained and licensed in scalp micropigmentation. That could be a tattoo artist, it could be a barber, it could be someone that just wanted to get into scalp micropigmentation like myself to help change lives. Whoever it is, just make sure that they've trained properly to this technique because, like we talked about, it does vary greatly from traditional tattoos. So myth number 2, scalp micropigmentation won't work if you have gray hair or will look silly if you start to turn gray later on. The truth? Most scalp micropigmentation clients need to keep their hair at a short buzz cut. When hair is cut short, it actually all takes a form of gray, some stronger tone, some less tone. We're matching that gray tone. We use pure black carbon pigment that we dilute down to fall in the same color spectrum as short cut hair. That's the monochromatic color spectrum. Even if you keep your hair a little bit longer and have a little bit of salt and pepper, we can add different shades of our gray or black pigment to help strengthen and give color to your existing hair. Let me show you what I mean. Here are a few examples of clients of ours that actually have some gray or salt and pepper hair, and we were able to match perfectly to their gray tones. And you see, since they're cutting shorter, you don't really see the prominence of that white or gray hair. It all falls, again, within the same color spectrum that our ink does. But you might ask, what happens as I age or if I start turning gray after treatment? Well, the truth is scalp micropigmentation will lighten and fade over time. And it does so over that same monochromatic color spectrum that we just talked about. So it starts to slowly get a lighter shade of gray and a lighter shade of gray. When it's time for a touch-up, your artist can always adjust the pigment tone to more accurately match the state of your hair color at that time. Truth is, I actually have some grays coming in now that I start seeing if I don't cut. But when I cut, the treatment still matches and looks exactly as it should. Myth number 3, people will notice that you've done something. The truth? Well, I've had this for 10 years and no one has ever questioned whether this was my real hair or my hairline. Except for those maybe that have seen me on YouTube. But don't take my word for it, hear what our clients have to say.
People haven't really asked me about it much, and of course if they were to, I'd be more than happy to share, of course, where I got this from.
My coworker even walked in one day, he says, Jason, but you didn't lose your hair. I says, no, I know, it's growing, and I just go with the flow.
And nobody can tell anything, and I haven't said anything yet, so. When I feel like surprising them, surprise them, but I might not. I might just rock with it.
And people say it looks really good, but they don't say that like the microscoping looks good. They just think I have like the freshest cut.
Everyone that looks at it, they like, it looks fantastic, it looks great, it looks natural. You know, again, I love when it fools people and they actually say that it's growing in. I'm like, okay, so it really looks like what it's meant to look like. So hell of a job, you know. Scalp Micro USA is doing their they're kicking.
All right, so I hope this video helped clear up some of the myths about scalp micropigmentation. If you're still unclear or have questions, I do urge you to reach out to us for a free consultation. You can talk to a specialist and they'll get your questions answered. As always, I appreciate you all watching. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel and I'll catch you guys next time.